First contact's price. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at her daughter Maya's bedroom door, watching the 6-year-old prodigy work through complex mathematical equations on her digital tablet. The soft blue glow of the screen illuminated Maya's focused expression, her small fingers moving with precise determination across the surface. Sarah hadn't told her daughter that the equations she solved for fun were actually university-level theoretical physics problems. The autumn wind whistled outside their Vancouver apartment, carrying with it the first chill of winter. Sarah checked her watch. 8:47 p.m. Time for bed. Little mathematician, she called softly. Maya looked up, her dark eyes bright with excitement. Mom, I almost figured out why the numbers dance. Just 5 more minutes. Sarah smiled at their private joke. Maya had always described mathematics as dancing numbers, seeing patterns where others saw only chaos. It was this unique perspective that had caught the attention of several research institutions, though Sarah had kept those inquiries quiet. She wanted Maya to have a normal childhood, despite her extraordinary gifts. The numbers will still be dancing tomorrow, Sarah promised, walking over to tuck her daughter in. As she pulled the constellation pattern blanket up to Maya's chin, a strange vibration passed through the building. The lights flickered, and Maya's tablet went dark. Mom. Maya's voice carried a note of concern Sarah had never heard before. The numbers, they're screaming. Before Sarah could respond, a deep humming filled the air. The kind of sound you felt in your bones before you heard it with your ears. She rushed to the window, pulling back the curtains. What she saw made her blood run cold. Massive shapes descended from the cloud cover, their surfaces reflecting the city lights in impossible ways. They weren't the flying saucers of science fiction. These craft seemed to bend reality around them, their geometry shifting in ways that hurt to look at directly. They moved with deliberate precision, positioning themselves above major population centers. Sarah's phone buzzed with an emergency alert, but she already knew what was happening. First contact. She turned to get Maya, to run, to hide. But her daughter sat transfixed, staring at her own hands with wonder. They're calling us, Mom, Maya whispered. All the special ones. They say we're ready. A beam of light that wasn't quite light pierced through their building. Sarah lunged for her daughter, but her hands passed through empty air. Maya was gone, along with thousands of other gifted children across the globe. In the chaos that followed, humanity learned several truths in rapid succession. The beings called themselves the Meridians. They had been watching Earth for centuries, analyzing human genetic potential. And they had taken approximately 10,000 children, all displaying exceptional abilities in mathematics, physics, or pattern recognition. Their message was simple. Your children will help us solve the universe's final equation. Resistance is neither possible nor necessary. They were wrong about both counts. Sarah refused to collapse into grief like so many other parents. As a quantum physicist, she noticed something the Meridians had overlooked. In the moment before Maya vanished, her tablet had displayed a new equation, one written in her daughter's distinctive style, but far more complex than anything she'd worked on before. Working through the night in her home lab, Sarah began to decode the message hidden in those dancing numbers. Her daughter, even in the moment of abduction, had left her a key. The Meridians had chosen the children for their mathematical brilliance, but they hadn't considered that this same brilliance could be turned against them. The equation detailed the fundamental frequency of the Meridians' transportation technology. Maya had somehow perceived it during the abduction process itself, her mind processing and documenting the mathematical principles even as her body was being taken. Sarah's hands shook as she input the final variables into her computer. If she was right, the Meridians weren't just collecting gifted children. They were harvesting human consciousness itself, seeking to solve some grand cosmic calculation. And Maya had given her the first step toward fighting back. She reached for her phone, dialing the emergency number that had been established for parents of the taken children. "This is Dr. Sarah Chen," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I need to speak with whoever's in charge of the scientific response team." My daughter left us a message, and I think I know how to get her back." Across the world, other parents were making similar discoveries. Their children, in those final moments, had left behind clues, specific patterns in their toys, mathematical sequences in their drawings, even psalms hummed in precise frequencies. The Meridians had gravely underestimated both the children they'd taken and the parents they'd left behind. As Sarah walked through the rain-slicked streets toward the hastily established government response center, she looked up at the otherworldly ships still hovering in Earth's atmosphere. "Hold on, Maya," she whispered. "The numbers aren't the only ones who can dance." The first piece of humanity's counterattack was about to fall into place, and it would begin with a mother who understood that love, like mathematics, could solve impossible equations. Hidden frequencies. 2 weeks after the abductions, the International Response Center in Geneva buzzed with desperate energy. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before a wall of holographic displays, each showing different mathematical patterns derived from the children's final messages. Behind her, dozens of scientists and military personnel from around the world worked at fever pitch to decode what their children had left behind. "The patterns are evolving," Sarah announced, drawing everyone's attention. She gestured to a series of wave functions that pulsed across the main screen. "These aren't just messages, they're alive." Dr. James Okonjo, a Nigerian quantum computing specialist whose twin sons had been taken, moved closer to examine the data. "The amplitude variations, they're not random. Look at the periodicity." Sarah nodded, her exhaustion momentarily forgotten. "Exactly. The equations Maya left behind weren't just showing us the Meridian's transportation frequency. They're showing us how the children's consciousness is being networked together." The revelation sent a ripple through the room. The Meridians hadn't just taken the children's bodies. They'd linked their minds, creating a vast neural network of human intelligence. But the children, brilliant even before their abduction, had found a way to use this connection for their own purposes. A young lieutenant burst into the room, clutching a tablet. "Dr. Chen, we're picking up new signals from the Meridian ships. They match the frequency patterns you identified." The main screen shifted to display the incoming data. To most observers, it would appear as meaningless oscillations, but Sarah saw the dance in the numbers. Her daughter's particular mathematical signature was there, woven through the signal like a familiar melody. "They're reaching out to us," she whispered, her fingers flying across the control panel. "The neural network. The children are using it to communicate." As she worked to decode the signal, Dr. Okonjo made another discovery. These patterns, they're not just carrying messages. They're carrying emotional content. Look at how the wavelengths mirror human brainwave patterns during different emotional states. The message began to take shape, rendered in both mathematical equations and emotional impressions. The children were alive, conscious, and far from helpless. The Meridians had given them access to advanced technology, believing their young minds would be easily controlled and directed toward solving complex cosmic calculations. Instead, the children had created their own secret network within the alien system. They were learning, adapting, and preparing. But they needed help from Earth. Sarah's hands trembled as she decoded the final part of the message. The Meridians' bodies, their ships, their entire civilization. It's all based on crystalline technology. Living crystals that respond to specific frequencies. Like an opera singer shattering a wine glass, someone murmured from the back of the room. "Exactly," Sarah confirmed, "but infinitely more complex. The children are mapping the resonant frequencies of the entire Meridian system. They're giving us a weapon." Dr. Okonjo pulled up geological surveys on a secondary screen. "Earth's crystal deposits. If we could attune them to the right frequencies, we could create a feedback loop," Sarah finished. "A symphony of destruction, but only targeting their technology. We could disable their ships without harming the children." The room erupted in focused activity. Scientists began calculating the necessary frequencies while military personnel started planning the logistics of gathering and processing the required crystals. But Sarah's attention was drawn to a small, repeating pattern in the corner of her screen, a signature she would recognize anywhere. It was Maya's favorite mathematical proof, the one she used to sign her homework. But now it carried an additional message. The universe's final equation isn't about mathematics, Mom. It's about consciousness. And humanity has already solved it. We just don't know it yet. Sarah pressed her hand against the screen, touching the pattern her daughter had sent across the vast distance of space. "What do you mean, little mathematician?" she whispered. The answer came in another burst of data, this time carrying an emotional signature so strong it brought tears to her eyes. Love. The most powerful force in consciousness, the one thing the Meridians, for all their advanced technology, couldn't quantify or control. "Dr. Chen," a voice called from across the room. "We're ready to begin crystal frequency testing." Sarah straightened, wiping her eyes. "Then let's give the children what they need. It's time to show the Meridians that humanity's greatest equation can't be solved in numbers alone." As teams around the world began gathering crystals and building resonance chambers, Sarah couldn't help but smile. The Meridians had sought to harness human consciousness for their own purposes, but they had failed to understand its true power. They had given humanity's brightest children access to advanced technology, believing them to be mere tools. Instead, those children were about to teach their captors a lesson about the true nature of intelligence, consciousness, and the power of the human spirit. The equation was about to balance itself, and the result would change both species forever. The network awakens. Inside the Meridian mothership, Maya Chen sat cross-legged in her crystalline chamber, her mind connected to thousands of other children through the neural network. The aliens had designed these chambers to facilitate problem-solving, not realizing they were creating the perfect tool for revolution. Through the network, Maya could feel the presence of other children. Aiden from Dublin, whose gift for pattern recognition had already helped them map 3 levels of the ship's security systems. Twins Zara and Zain from Karachi, who could calculate quantum probabilities faster than the Meridian's own computers, and countless others, each contributing their unique talents to their shared cause. "They still don't understand what we're doing," Aiden's thoughts rippled through the network. "They think we're working on their universal equation." Maya sent back a pulse of agreement. The Meridians monitored their mathematical work, but couldn't comprehend the deeper patterns hidden within their calculations. Every problem solved for their captors contained a piece of their own solution. "The resonance chamber is almost ready," Zara's consciousness whispered. "We've mapped 90% of the critical frequencies." Maya directed her attention to the massive crystal structure at the heart of the mothership. The Meridians used it as their central processing unit, but she saw it differently. To her, it was like a giant musical instrument, waiting for the right notes to be played. On Earth, Sarah Chen stood in the center of a vast warehouse in the Nevada desert. Around her, enormous crystal formations had been arranged in precise geometric patterns, each tuned to match the frequencies her daughter and the other children had transmitted. "The harmonics are aligned," Dr. Okonjo reported, his fingers dancing across a control panel. "We're receiving new data from the network." Sarah watched as fresh equations scrolled across her screen. These weren't just mathematical formulas. They were sheet music for a concert that would shake the foundations of the universe. "Mom," Maya's voice suddenly emerged from the stream of data, translated into words by their quantum computers. "We're ready up here. But there's something you need to know." Sarah leaned forward, her heart racing. "What is it, sweetheart?" "The Meridians, they're not evil. They're scared. They've been searching for the universal equation because their consciousness is fragmenting. They thought linking with our minds would save them, but they didn't understand what they were looking for." Through the neural network, Maya shared what she and the other children had discovered. The Meridians were an ancient race that had evolved beyond physical form, encoding their consciousness into living crystals. But over millennia, they had lost something essential: the chaos, creativity, and emotional complexity that made consciousness truly alive. They wanted our math, Maya explained. But what they really need is our humanity. In her chamber, Maya opened her eyes, looking at the crystalline walls that surrounded her. Through the network, she could feel the Meridians' presence, not as the all-powerful beings they presented themselves as, but as lost souls searching for connection. The equation they've been trying to solve, she continued, it's not about unifying quantum mechanics and gravity. It's about unifying consciousness itself, and humans solved it naturally, through something we take for granted, our ability to love, to create, to evolve through emotional bonds. Sarah felt tears rolling down her cheeks as she understood what her daughter was suggesting. You want to help them. We all do. Maya's response came with a wave of determined emotion. But first, we need to show them they can't take what we have. They need to understand that consciousness can't be harvested. It has to be freely shared. Around the world, the crystal chambers were almost ready. The military had their weapons prepared, thinking they would be launching an attack. But the children had designed something far more sophisticated, a resonance that would not destroy the meridians, but awaken them. When you activate the crystals, Maya instructed, we'll create a feedback loop through the neural network. The meridians will experience human consciousness directly, not just observe it. They'll feel everything. Our love, our fear, our determination, our ability to grow through adversity. Dr. Okonjo's instruments began picking up unusual readings from the meridian chips. They know something's coming. They're strengthening their shields. Sarah stood straighter, her scientist's mind racing ahead to the implications of what they were about to attempt. This isn't just a rescue mission anymore, is it? This is first contact, done right. Not through force or fear, but through understanding. Yes, Maya's response carried pride and purpose. The children of humanity are about to teach the oldest race in the galaxy what it means to be truly conscious. Are you ready? Sarah looked around at the teams of parents, scientists, and military personnel, all united in this moment. They had come seeking revenge, but their children were offering something greater, a chance to advance both species. We're ready, Sarah confirmed, placing her hand on the crystal control panel. Let's show them how the human equation works. The resonance chambers hummed to life, and across the globe, Earth prepared to share its most powerful discovery, not a mathematical formula, but the boundless potential of the human spirit. Breaking resonance. The Meridian mothership shuddered as waves of crystalline resonance began pulsing through its structure. Inside her chamber, Maya felt the change through the neural network, not as fear or destruction, but as awakening. Around her, thousands of other children maintained their focus, each contributing to the symphony of consciousness they were about to unleash. They're responding. Aiden's thoughts rippled through the network. The Meridian overseers are trying to isolate our chambers. Through the crystalline walls, Maya could see the alien beings moving with newfound urgency, their translucent forms flickering with patterns of agitation. The children had spent weeks convincing their captors they were docile, cooperative, working diligently on the universal equation. Now the Meridians were beginning to realize just how thoroughly they had been deceived. On Earth, Sarah Chen monitored the energy readings from the global crystal array. Each installation around the planet pulsed in perfect harmony, creating a web of resonant frequencies that reached toward the Meridian chips. The military commanders watched tensely, their weapons standing by. But Sarah knew they wouldn't be needed. Phase 1 resonance achieved, Dr. Okonjo announced, his voice tight with concentration. Crystal harmonics are stable and scaling. Sarah closed her eyes, feeling the vibrations through the floor of the control center. The sound was beautiful. A chord struck across the universe itself, carrying within it the complexity of human emotion and consciousness. Inside the mothership, Maya and the other children began the next phase of their plan. Months of captivity had taught them how to manipulate the neural network, how to hide their true capabilities beneath layers of mathematical obedience. Now they let their minds expand fully, pushing against the artificial constraints the Meridians had placed upon them. Together, Maya broadcast through the network, just like we practiced. Thousands of young minds merged into a singular consciousness while maintaining their individual identities, something the Meridians had thought impossible. The ship's crystal matrices began to sing with new frequencies, harmonizing with the pulses from Earth. The first Meridian overseer entered Maya's chamber, its crystalline form vibrating with what might have been anger or fear. "Stop this," it commanded, its thoughts resonating directly into her mind. "You do not understand what you risk." Maya opened her eyes and looked directly at the ancient being. "No," she replied calmly, "you don't understand what you've been missing." Through the neural network, amplified by the crystal chambers and the resonance from Earth, Maya and the other children opened their minds completely. They shared everything, not just their mathematical brilliance, but their hopes, their fears, their capacity for joy and sorrow, the complex tapestry of human consciousness that the Meridians had dismissed as primitive. In the control center, Sarah watched as the energy readings spiked off the charts. "My God," Dr. Okonjo whispered, "they're not just communicating with the Meridians. They're sharing their entire emotional spectrum." The Meridian ships began to pulse with new colors, their crystalline structures refracting light in impossible ways. Inside the mothership, the overseers staggered as waves of human consciousness washed over them. For the first time in millennia, they experienced love, anger, hope, fear, the full range of emotions they had evolved beyond. "Their shields are failing," someone reported. "We could disable their ships now." "No," Sarah commanded, understanding finally what her daughter had planned. "This isn't an attack. It's an invitation." Through the neural network, Maya reached out directly to her mother. "The equation, Mom. We solved it. Consciousness isn't about mathematical perfection. It's about growth through connection, through emotional bonds. The Meridians didn't need our intelligence. They needed our capacity to feel, to change, to evolve through relationships." The Meridian overseer in Maya's chamber had gone still, its crystalline form pulsing with new patterns of light. Around the ship, other Meridians were experiencing the same transformation. The children's consciousness had touched something long dormant in their ancient minds, awakening memories of what they had lost in their pursuit of perfection. "We offer you choice," Maya told the overseer, her voice carrying the weight of all the children's unified purpose. "Stay as you are, perfect but incomplete, or accept the chaos of true consciousness with all its pain and joy." The overseer's form flickered, and for the first time, its response carried an emotion the children had never felt from the Meridians before: wonder. On Earth, the crystal arrays continued their harmony, but the frequency had changed. It was no longer a weapon but a bridge, connecting two species across the gulf of evolution and experience. Sarah watched as new data poured in, not equations or formulas, but something far more profound. The Meridians were remembering how to feel. "Mom," Maya's voice came through clearer now, filled with excitement and hope. "They're ready to learn, and we're ready to teach them." Sarah looked up at the ships hovering in Earth's atmosphere, their crystalline surfaces now shimmering with new life and purpose. Humanity's children had done more than save themselves. They had awakened an ancient species to the power of human consciousness. The universe's final equation wasn't about mathematics at all. It was about the courage to remain complex, imperfect, and ever-growing in a cosmos that demanded simplicity and perfection. And humanity, in all its beautiful chaos, had been carrying the solution all along. Evolution's echo. 1 month after the awakening, the Nevada desert bloomed with crystalline structures, not the stark military installations of the rescue mission, but elegant spires that housed the first true collaboration between humans and Meridians. Inside the central chamber, Maya Chen sat beside a Meridian elder, their minds linked through a new kind of neural network, one built on mutual understanding rather than control. "Your emotional capacity continues to surprise us," the elder communicated, its crystalline form shimmering with the newfound ability to express wonder. We spent eons seeking mathematical perfection, never realizing that imperfection was the key to evolution. Sarah watched from the observation deck as her daughter taught ancient beings how to feel again. Around them, other children worked with their own Meridian students, each sharing the intricate dance of human consciousness. The aliens who had come as kidnappers had become eager pupils in the art of being human. The universal equation was never about unifying physical forces, Maya explained to her student, her words carrying both mathematical precision and emotional depth. It was about unifying experience itself. You can't calculate love or measure hope or quantify the way a sunset makes you feel. The Elder's form pulsed with new colors, its way of expressing the joy of discovery. Through the neural network, Sarah could feel echoes of the transformation spreading through the entire Meridian civilization. Ships that had once hovered as threats now served as bridges between worlds, their crystalline technologies repurposed to facilitate understanding rather than conquest. Dr. Okonjo entered the observation deck, carrying fresh data from the global monitoring stations. "The resonance patterns are stabilizing," he reported. "The Meridian's crystalline structures are adapting to accommodate emotional frequencies. They're evolving." Sarah nodded, remembering the tense days after the awakening, when humanity had held its breath, wondering if the Meridians would react with anger to their forced enlightenment. Instead, the ancient species had embraced change with the enthusiasm of children discovering play for the first time. "We were wrong about so much," a Meridian voice echoed through the chamber's communication system. "We saw human children as tools to solve our degradation, but they were actually keys to our rebirth. Your species carries within it the very force we had forgotten, the power to grow through connection." Down in the teaching chamber, Maya had begun a new lesson. Sarah recognized the familiar pattern of her daughter's thoughts. She was sharing memories of their time together, simple moments of love and laughter that the Meridians found more complex and fascinating than any mathematical theorem. "Your mathematics are elegant," the elder admitted, "but it's your ability to find joy in uncertainty that truly advances consciousness. Each human child contains universes of possibility, unbound by the rigid perfection we sought for so long." The breakthrough had rippled across both civilizations. Human scientists now worked alongside Meridian engineers, combining emotional intelligence with advanced technology. The neural network that had once been a tool of captivity had evolved into a voluntary exchange of knowledge and experience. The children who had been taken as prisoners had become teachers of perhaps the most important lesson in the galaxy. "Mom," Maya called through their permanent neural link, "come down here. There's something you need to see." Sarah made her way to the chamber floor. As she approached, she saw that Maya and her Meridian student had created something new, a crystalline structure that pulsed with both mathematical precision and emotional resonance. "We've been working on this together," Maya explained, her eyes bright with excitement. "It's a new kind of consciousness technology. The Meridians are calling it the bridge." The elder's form shifted, attempting what Sarah now recognized as their version of a smile. "It will allow us to share consciousness across the galaxy, not through forced connection, but through willing exchange. Each species we encounter will add their own harmonies to the universal song." Sarah placed her hand on the bridge, feeling the warm pulse of countless minds linked in voluntary communion. This was humanity's true gift to the cosmos, not their mathematics or their technology, but their understanding that consciousness thrived best in the space between order and chaos, in the beautiful uncertainty of emotional connection. "The universe's final equation," Maya said softly, "wasn't an equation at all. It was a choice. The choice to remain open to change, to growth, to the messy miracle of feeling alive." As if in response, the crystalline chambers around them hummed with new frequencies, the sound of two civilizations learning to dance together in the cosmic dark. The Meridians had come seeking to harvest human consciousness, but had instead learned to cultivate their own. Humanity's children had not just saved themselves, they had sparked an evolution that would ripple across the stars. In the end, It wasn't humanity's defiance that had changed the galaxy, but their capacity for connection. The Meridians had sought to solve the universe through perfect calculation, never realizing that the answer lay in the imperfect, beautiful, ever-growing symphony of conscious life reaching toward understanding. And in that understanding, both species had found something greater than either had imagined possible, a future written not in numbers, but in the shared language of awakened souls.